Rode has entered the streaming world with their first multi-camera switcher, and this is a big deal. The RØDECaster video not only comes packed with cutting-edge features, but it also has a custom video engine that allows for future updates and endless customization. Let's see why this switcher is about to shake things up in the world of streaming and content creation. This is the first multi-camera live stream switcher that Rode has just announced. So in this video, I'm going to give you an overview of some of the inputs and outputs, some of the features and capabilities, and then in later videos, we'll do some more advanced training on how to use all of this stuff. So first and foremost, what is the RØDECaster video? I've deemed this thing as the ATEM killer. It is a 4-camera switcher, but there's more inputs than just that, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. It also has features like building out scenes, so multi-layered scenes in the event that you want to create something that might be considered like a super source type of graphic, also known as like an ME or mix effect on the TriCaster, where you have a multi-layered scene that you can switch to. Another feature of this is that you've got some full-size XLR inputs. So let's do the rundown. I'm going to give you the overview. I'll show you a quick how-to with getting it set up and connected, and then we'll take it from there. The RØDECaster video has 4 HDMI inputs. So 4 HDMI feeds. There's no SDI connection on this. Again, remember, this is their first time jumping into the live streaming space here. So this is something that is only going to get better with time. It's also got 2 HDMI outputs. So you've got 4 camera inputs or computers or anything else you want. They are scaled. So if you've got an input up to 1080p at 60 frames, you can scale it down to 24, 30, whatever frame rate that you need, and you can plug it right in there. The 2 outputs, as of right now, they're outputs A and B. Those can either output your Multiview, your program, or your preview window. Now, when it comes to this, there's probably some features that you're thinking about, like, oh, can I use it as an aux output? Could I send camera 1 to HDMI out 1? That is something that Rode is taking into consideration, and I can assure you that I've given them tons of feedback. We actually went behind the scenes at NAB show this year, earlier back in April, where I saw this for the first time, and they said, hey, we want your input. We want to make this for creators like you. So just know that they are open to any and all feedback, and this is some of the feedback I've given to them, is being able to have that aux output capability. I can't speak as to when that may or may not become available, but just know that they know about it, they're aware of it, they're on top of it. So there's actually 5, count them, 5 USB-C connections. Now, 2 of them are inputs, so you can bring in your RØDECaster audio mixer or other Rode devices, but you can also bring in a UVC webcam connection as well. I'm curious to test that out a little bit later, where I want to find out, could we theoretically take another switcher such as a Blackmagic ATEM, connect that UVC USB connection out from the switcher and into this? I don't know, but we're going to find out. For right now, I know that that is a webcam connection. So either plug in your audio mixers or your webcams to those connections, but there's 3 more connections. So for the most part, they're going to be connecting it to the computer to talk with the RØDECaster video software, which is the Rode Central application. So Rode Central is an application that manages all of the other Rode items that you might have in your mix. So when they're connected to the computer over USB-C, you can find them right in here. A couple other connections. We've got 2 XLR combo jacks from Neutrik. So these are XLR audio or 1/4-inch audio if need be. There's 2, a left and right monitor outputs. So those are 1/4-inch. Then you've also got 2 headphone outputs, which are also 1/4-inch. You can always adapt that with a little 1/4-inch to 3.5 or 1/8 adapter. So lots of connectivity on this thing. There's also an Ethernet port. So if you're going to live stream, hardwire connection right into the Ethernet. There are 2 Wi-Fi antennas connected to this. Now these unscrew for safe transport and traveling. They can come right off. And then you've also got your micro SD card slot and a USB-C for power, which there is a power button for to turn it on and off. So that's kind of just the gist of your input and output. Let me show you a quick demo in how you connect this to the computer and get this up and going. So your USB-C connection, this is going into USB-C number 2, connected directly to my computer. It's just plugged in on this side. Let's take you over to the Rode Central application here. Once the RØDECaster video is connected to the computer, you'll see it pop up in Rode Central. Then you simply click on it and you'll be taken to this menu. So originally it'll start out, it'll say select a device to get started, and then you'll click on your RØDECaster video and you'll see menu options that you can go into. There is a profile, so you can save profiles based on the clients that you're working with. Maybe there's one that's custom to you and your home content creation. Maybe there's one for a client of yours. You can name that profile, you can export it, you can load the show back in, you can even give it a logo if you just want an easier way to switch between that. But you can create multiple profiles so that you can quickly swap between your settings and your preferences. Then I'm going to go ahead and close out of this guy. We've got a few options here. There's a scene builder, an audio mixer, device configuration, auto switching, which we'll talk about in a moment, and stream profiles. The scene builder, which I'll show more advanced in a later video, the scene builder allows you to see the preview window live on your computer so that you can preview what this might look like as you build your scenes and build out your graphics. You've got your media panel on the left-hand side where I can add media and I can import them all from my computer, and then they get saved onto the MicroSD card that's in the RØDECaster video. When you're sorting through your graphics, I've got a videos tab, a graphics tab, and a sounds tab that I can click on to sort based on the types of files that I'm looking for, just for faster sifting through all of that content. Then when you want to bring one of those in, you can click and drag them over to the input that you want it on. First, I have to go and enable the media tab, and now you can see I've got media on A, B, C, and D already. If you look at our multi-view over here, I've got a starting soon graphic. I have a video that I've dragged into letter B, and then I've got a couple of multi-camera scenes built in C and D. To bring those in, while I have the media button engaged, all I have to do is click and drag and drop the image right into it. Now, since there is an image here already, I can either reassign it. I can go to reassign and reassign it to another button, A through G, or I can delete it. So in this case, this one in C is my quad box. I'm just going to delete it real fast just to show you. Here's my quad box, and I can drag it right onto C. You'll see it'll change to a plus sign. When I drop it there, I now have my media in here, and we can reassign that as needed. If we did that wrong and say we needed to move it over to button E, it will just copy that right over to E, and now C is available again. So it's really nifty to set up all the media there. Another thing that you can do in this scene builder is you can build these sort of like multi-layered effects. And we're going to get to that in a later video, but you see this quad box that I have here, it would allow us to put camera feeds in each of those 4 boxes. Now I'm going to close out of this scene builder and then go to the audio mixer. This has so much audio mixing capability, it's not even funny. So combos 1 and 2, that's my 2 XLR connections, video clips. So if I want to adjust the video level of the audio coming through on the video, sounds, Bluetooth, USB 1, USB 1 chat, and USB 2. So there's a lot of audio connectivity here. We can even connect things like phones, Androids, and iPhone smartphones to this, and then we can adjust the audio levels right there. As I close out of the audio mixer, I've got my device configuration. This is where I can choose my outputs. So HDMI output A is my multi-view. That's going to my monitor right here. HDMI output B right now is outputting program, but hopefully at a later date, we might be able to see an option for outputting any of my inputs to that so that I could do something like iMag to a projector or really to any other screen in the room. That would be super helpful. I've got my frame rate settings, so I've set it to 30 frames right here, but I can choose 60, 29.97, 24 frames, whatever you are streaming at. My switching, now this is similar to the cut bus settings that you might be familiar with on other switchers. They have an instant and they have a studio option. So instant is I hit this button and it will instantly cut to it. Studio is more of a program preview option where I will bring something into preview, such as this green. This is just a decimator plugged in right now. And then I have to hit cut or auto on the board to switch it over into program. So that's the studio mode. You've got the ability to switch that right in here. Recording, look at this, we've got ISO recording. So when you plug in a USB-C solid state drive to the back of this, you can record ISOs of all of your video inputs and audio tracks directly to a solid state drive. Audio tab, this is where you can adjust based on what sort of audio you have connected in, high sensitivity or low sensitivity for the headphones. You can also select for your monitor, a fixed output level, multi-track, so you've got your settings here for pre-fader, post-fader, or off, and then HDMI output as well, whether that should be the live mix or you can just turn it off entirely. The display setting is a brightness level of the LEDs built within the board. So if you find that it's too bright for you, you can click and drag this slider and you can see it more there, that this will brighten depending on what setting I leave it at. And then lastly, we have this system connection. So if we're connecting to Wi-Fi, you can search right here for available Wi-Fi networks, and then you can connect to them from here. Additionally, you can turn Wi-Fi off if you're not using that and switch over to Ethernet, where you can connect a network cable and stream over Ethernet. Date and time sets the date and time on the device. It's also nice because it adds that to your multi-view right here where you can see that. Bluetooth connections, so you can connect Bluetooth devices. This has built-in receivers to connect the Rode Wireless Go microphones, so you can connect them directly to this. Additionally, there are other devices that may connect, such as a smartphone. And then lastly, info is just any important info like serial number and software version on the device. Once you're in the Rode Central software, you want to head on over to this Stream Profiles section, and this is where you can add a new profile. So in this case, I'm going to select this profile. I'll title this my Facebook Live profile. You can put in any name you wish, and then you need to enter in your server and stream key. So for Facebook, I would hit live video, and then we'll say I'm going to go live, and then we have to get this server information and this stream key information from our Facebook page. So in this case, I've got my stream key right here. Make sure to choose streaming software. If you're on webcam, you're not going to see this. So go to streaming software, stream key. So we'll copy this. That's our streaming key. And then we've got to get our server URL. So you might have to hit this advanced settings if you don't have it already. Just hit copy, and now you've got your server URL. We can paste that right in. We're going to hit save, and that will save this profile in here for us. Then what you want to do is check your stream settings, and you can choose a low, medium, or high bit rate. One of the pieces of feedback that I gave to Rode was maybe to let us know what the bit rates are for these so that we can determine the best settings for this. And so they've taken that into consideration for future feedback that they might incorporate. As of right now, I don't know what these bit rates are, so you might have to test them out, but I'm hoping that maybe in the future they'll add that for us. Once you have that saved, all you need to do is press the live button on the switcher. It's on the top left side of the switcher, and you're ready to go. That's just a little overview on the Rode Central application. There's a little settings gear up here in the corner. If there's an available firmware download or factory reset, you can also select your monitor output. So if you want to monitor through the MacBook speakers, through your computer speakers, or you can select the RØDECaster video secondary. So that's kind of the overview on the Rode Central software itself. Really quick, just want to go over some of the buttons here on this guy because it's very unique in the sense that it's got your program buttons or your program row on the bottom. Now, this button right here is considered your fade to black button. So if I hit that, it will fade to black. And if I hit it again, it will fade right back. But you can disable that in the settings. So if you don't want to use that as fade to black, you can turn that off. But I think that it's important to keep in mind that that might be used as more of a function button later in the future. So that might be something that they can customize later, and that's probably why it's not labeled as fade to black on the button itself. Then above it, you've got this row A through G. This I consider like a multi-purpose row, and that's because this might be used for selecting your media if you're in media mode, your overlays if you're in overlay mode, or your scenes if you're in scene mode. So as I press these buttons, I'm going to show you right here. So if I select media, what happens here is this lights up and these row these buttons light up with a color if they have a media in that slot. So you can see on my multi-view, I have an image in A, a video in B, another image in D and E, but nothing in C, and that's why it's not lit up. So you can see what media is available in those buttons, and I can't accidentally press C and take something that's not there. So just a nice little feature there. We've also got this button here, which enables that row as the overlay row. And now I have an overlay. So I have a lower third, and if I take that, it'll come up right on screen here. You can see my lower third graphic. If I want to take it down, I simply press that A button again, and it takes down that overlay. I'll press this again to get out of overlay mode. And then I have this button here, which takes me into multi-source. In multi-source mode, this is where you can access some of your picture-in-picture capabilities. So if I want to have maybe one image be my, let's say, picture-in-picture with the top left corner maybe, I can select this, and then using this touch screen, I can just press the check mark. And now I have the ability to take that live. If I want to customize these a little bit more though, I would probably go into the RØDE software. We'll do a video on that a little bit later. And then lastly, my keying. So if I am keying out a green screen, I can turn on my keying right from here. You can apply the green screen key directly to the camera input, which is really nifty. So we'll show more on that later, but that's just kind of my overview and showing off what this thing is like. It's very exciting being able to build out these scenes and switch between the scenes. It's very exciting to have up to 6 inputs, so 4 of those being HDMI, 2 of those being USB. We're going to play around a little bit more with that and see how advanced we can go on that later, but I'm very excited, and this multi-view is just very different. Being able to see everything in one position is really nice. So lots to come from the RØDECaster video, a very exciting 4 HDMI input plus 2 USB input live streaming switcher, streaming over Wi-Fi, streaming over Ethernet, however which way you want, and recording ISOs. Stick around and make sure you come back for more videos on the RØDECaster video, and I'll see you next time. After spending some time with the RØDECaster video, here are my thoughts on where this switcher really stands out. First, the scene builder. This feature allows you to create multi-layered scenes and switch between them seamlessly. We don't really see this in many other switchers, and the closest thing that would be out there right now is the SuperSource feature on the Blackmagic ATEM switchers. This makes complex setups way easier to manage. Then there's the USB connectivity, which is a big win. You can connect other RØDE devices, and it even has internal receivers for RØDE wireless mics, saving us inputs and outputs. This is a really clever solution. Of course, the XLR inputs are a huge upgrade compared to the 3.5mm inputs that we see on many other devices, and I love the Wi-Fi connectivity for those tricky locations where you can't get a wired connection. And believe it or not, something as simple as having a power button is exciting. You'd be surprised how many streaming switchers don't have one, but RØDE made sure to include it here. The custom video engine is another thing that I'm excited about. It should allow for future software updates, which could bring features to the device that other switchers might not be able to handle due to the hardware limitations. It's got potential. Then there's the ability to import videos for playback straight from a microSD card. No need to use any external devices for video playback, which is super convenient. And last but not least, the green screen keying is applied directly to the camera input, so you don't need upstream or downstream keyers, making this a lot simpler. Now, there are a few areas that I think could be improved. First, the media section is limited to just 7 buttons, A through G, meaning you can only load 7 graphics in at a time. That's pretty limiting when you're running lower thirds graphics. I'd love to see the ability to cycle through banks of images so that we can store more, maybe 20 to 30 graphics, if not a little bit more than that. Especially since it's all stored on the microSD card, it's not like we're eating up internal storage. I'm also a bit unsure about how to make the most of the UVC webcam input. I'm not sure how I'd mix that with cinema level cameras in my setup. It's cool that we can connect other USB audio devices, but I haven't quite figured out how to leverage this feature just yet. Next, the multi-view, it's not customizable, at least right now, so you're stuck with the default layout. It would be great to be able to adjust how it looks depending on your needs. And lastly, there's no aux output capability beyond outputting multi-view, program, or preview, despite having 2 HDMI outputs. It's a bit limiting if you need more flexibility there. But overall, I'm really excited for this product. RØDE has been super open to feedback. When they introduced this switcher back in April, they invited tons of creators, including me, to a private event to get our input on how we'd use the device. They seem genuinely committed to improving it and making it the best option out there to complement their existing lineup of streaming and content creation tools. If you're serious about live streaming, this is definitely one to keep an eye on. RØDE is stepping up big time with this release, and I can't wait to see where they take it next. And if you're interested in purchasing one or learning more, check out the link below in the description. Not only does it help to support this YouTube channel, but it'll take you directly to the product page where you can learn everything you need to know. Until next time, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you down there in the comment section below.